welcome to Fish on Fridays. I'm Al McCauley. In the year 1570, an artist named Federico Fiori painted a gorgeous masterpiece called Rest on the Flight to Egypt. And it depicts the Holy Family in a very blissful way. And I want to talk about this painting because it's just got so much symbolism and is so interesting to us, and the lessons we can get from it are just so profound. This image is beautiful. It's colorful, it's cheerful. The family looks blissful. And the context of the story is, Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus are heading to Egypt because King Herod wants to kill all the newborns. And so you would think this would be a pretty traumatic time. They're refugees, they're in a different country, foreigners in a foreign land, and yet they look absolutely serenely blissful in this painting. And I think Fiori's trying to tell us something here. I think he's trying to let us know that there are no inconsequential acts in our daily lives, that every moment can be a moment of pleasure if we are in God's presence and recognize that as such. Now, this is not easy to do, but it's something I think that we're called to. But I'll get back to lessons a little bit later, but I'd like to focus a bit on some of the symbolism that we see in this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful piece. Let's start with Mary. Mary's always depicted with her head bowed, it seems, which is a sign of humility. You see that she has wearing blue. Blue is the color and art of the heavens. And so to wear blue, which Mary seemingly is always in blue, shows that or denotes that she is in close proximity to the divine, to heaven. You'll notice further that she is dipping her hand down with a little dish and she's catching water in a stream. And this is kind of foreshadowing what we're going to hear Jesus say in John's gospel when he tells the woman at the well that he would give water that you would never thirst again, that he would give living water. And this is a symbolic way of showing that Mary is receiving the graces of God, of that living water, and she will become a conduit of God's grace. She's not the supplier of it, the source of it, but she is probably the greatest conduit of God's graces to us by virtue of being the mother of Christ. I think it's interesting when you look at Joseph in the background. Joseph has a garment on that looks like a traveler's cloak. And what he's done is he's picked a branch from a cherry tree and he's handing it to his son. This is foreshadowing Jesus' death, really. So his earthly father, Joseph, is handing him wood and he's accepting it. And in the same way, Jesus' divine father is going to hand him the wood of the cross and Jesus will accept it. He even says this at the night before he dies. He says, Lord, your will, not mine. So he does accept the cross and he goes willingly to his death for the salvation of all. And it's interesting because this wood that Joseph is handing, this little twig, this branch that Joseph is handing to Jesus, has cherries on it. And the red of the cherry should remind us of, or a foreshadowing of the blood that Jesus will shed, but also the sweetness of the resurrection that lays beyond the blood, the sweetness from the cherries. Mary is also depicted, if you notice, her heel is showing. Her foot is open for everyone to see. And there's a lot of symbolism with her being the new Eve. She is the one we're told that will crush the head of the serpent. Eve gave into the serpent in Genesis 3 and into the temptation and sin and brought sin into the world. And Mary is the new Eve, the second sinless woman in history who will confer to the will of God, will obey the will of God and bring about our redemption by giving birth, saying yes, giving birth to Jesus, who ultimately will die and rise for us. So there's a whole lot of symbolism here. Notice in the background the donkey. The donkey is a symbol of peace. And donkeys are present a lot in the story of Jesus, from his birth to his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. But it's a symbol of peace, that ultimately Christ brings his peace to us. So as I said, there's a lot going on here, but I want to focus on the overall understanding that this is just a simple little picnic that they're having. And yet it's a moment of happiness and serenity and blissful awareness of what's going on around them. And I think sometimes in our busyness, we take that for granted. I know I do. I can fail to see Christ in my situation, in the people around me, in the work that I do. It's very easy to get caught up on other things, the TV, internet, etc. But everything we do, nothing's by accident. Everything that we do can be a grace-filled moment. And it can be a moment of serenity, of blissfulness, if we just recognize that that Christ has died and he's risen for our our eternal souls. And that's a great thing. It's a great thing to celebrate. And it's a great message that this piece of art conveys to us. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Please feel free to share it if you'd like. I'm glad that you tuned in, and I hope you'll continue to do so. Until next time, be good to each other, and God bless.